Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
But let us reflect on this moment, because over the next year, something really interesting has to happen. Every outcome is remarkable in some way or other. So let's have a look at a few possible scenarios. They are mutually exclusive, but not fully comprehensive. Other things could happen, but these cover the likely ground. So, number one, over the next year, we could reach agreement that will pursue a trade deal, a Canada-type one, maybe even a bit better, Canada Plus. It wouldn't resolve the Irish border, and it still might need some concessions by the UK even to make this work. Scenario two, a softer Brexit. Maybe there is a parliamentary revolt and we end up agreeing to stay in a customs union, or we align all our regulations with theirs to solve the Irish border issue. That would be a huge defeat for the government and Theresa May. The Brexiteers would be incensed, although there may not be enough of them to topple Theresa May for yielding to it. Now, both those scenarios imply at least some kind of agreement. Scenario three is that there is no deal, and thus not even a transition. That would be a remarkable shock to the economy in a year's time, but it's an unlikely one. And then finally, there's one other scenario, which is what we can call continuing fudge. No deal, but no non-deal. We go into the transition without any idea as to what comes after, just some woolly words everyone can agree on more or less where we are. But something happens, even if nothing happens, and it could be a time to buckle up and get ready for some turbulence. Well, to mark the year to Brexit, I sat down with a mixed group of members of the public to hear how they think it's going. We'll hear from them shortly. But I also spoke to Chris Grayling earlier today, the Transport Secretary and Brexiteer. And I asked him, was he surprised at the number of concessions the government has already had to make?
We have to reach an agreement that works for both sides. There are things that we have accepted, that we have long-term financial obligations, for example. We've signed up to a 7-year budget programme. We've signed up to some longer-term programmes. We've got pensions for British staff who've worked in Brussels on behalf of the UK government and the European Union. Those are things that it is reasonable for us to accept our commitments we've made.
It sounds like you're not surprised at the £37 billion bill, but you didn't mention it in the referendum campaign, if I recollect correctly.
Well, some of the figures that were cited, £100 billion and so forth, clearly that was not accurate. We didn't reach anything like that.
So
kind of position,
£37 billion is an OK figure, and the public shouldn't be surprised by that.
Well,
even though it wasn't mentioned as a kind of ballpark figure in the campaign.
Well, the public should, I think, recognise that we're a country that fulfils its obligations.
The prominent, the Brexiteers who are now in government didn't say, yes, of course there'll be tens of billions to pay in the referendum campaign.
Well, what we said is that once we've left the European Union, there will be an amount of money that will return to the UK that's currently contributed, and that is the case.
Is there any forecast, official forecast by Treasury or Office for Budget Responsibility, that says there will be net more money to spend on things rather than less money post-Brexit?
Last financial year, we were the second biggest net contributor to the European Union. Once we've left the European Union, once we're through the implementation period and have fulfilled those financial obligations that we have built up over the last few years, that is money we will no longer be paying to the European Union.
So we get that back. Is there any official forecast that you can point to, Treasury, OBR, official forecast, that says, yes, we'll have extra money to spend on stuff because the shrinkage of the economy won't be as big or as damaging as the money we get back from our subscription?
Well, there's no shrinkage of the economy. The economy is continuing to grow and has done for a record period of time.
I'm asking about whether you've got a forecast to back up your claim that we'll have extra money to spend on NHS and education.
Well, self-evidently, we're no longer contributing money, whatever the size of our economy.
My understanding is the OBR think we will be smaller, we'll have a smaller economy, so that wipes out all the benefit you're talking about.
The OBR downscaled its future forecast because of its estimates of UK productivity.
So is it your understanding that the official forecasts support the claim that we are quids in, as a government, taxpayers are quids in for leaving the EU?
First of all, there is no forecast of a shrinkage in the economy. The economy is forecast to continue to grow.
Relative to the position in the EU.
There is a debate about the future forecast for the economy in the context of productivity, which is why last year at the budget, the OBR forecast downscale future growth. But it is a matter of practical fact that when we are no longer sending an amount of money each year to Brussels, that money will return to the Treasury and will be spendable on other issues.
Labour have taken a position that we should be in a customs union with the European Union. That is a point of difference. But there are quite a few of your MPs who are basically closer to the Labour position than they are to Theresa May's vision of Brexit. It is possible that Parliament will vote to compel the British government to negotiate us into a customs union.
I hope and believe that won't happen, and the reason I believe that to be the case is that to argue that Britain should stay in the customs union is effectively to argue that we should give to Brussels control of our future trade policy.
Right, so I understand that you don't want to stay in the customs union. Absolutely understand that. Is it legitimate for MPs who feel we should be in the customs union because they think it's more important to have closer trade to the EU than to have trade deals with other countries? Is it reasonable for them to say, look, we'll vote for the customs union, or is that a betrayal of the referendum result?
Well, I think everyone has to follow their own consciences in the way that they did during the referendum campaign. You know, I was able to campaign against the Prime Minister in the referendum campaign. I'm not going to single out colleagues who have decided to vote in a particular way.
Is it your view that because the Brexit side won 52-48, that the 48 just have to take the whole Brexit? Or is it your view that the 48 have some say and some right, if you like, to have their say in what kind of Brexit it is?
I think that Theresa May's recent speech in the City of London at the Mansion House about her goals for the negotiations in the coming months actually reflected the fact that we do need to make sure that in a nation that voted narrowly to leave, that we don't seek to walk away from Europe, we don't seek to ignore them, that we actually work hard to build a deep relationship with them, to work together, to help protect their security, to trade together, to carry on collaborating in some international bodies. We've said, for example, that there are a number of European bodies where we're happy to remain part of them, to pay our contribution to them. Now, that, to my mind, is reflecting the fact that people voted to leave, but people didn't vote for us to erect barricades at Dover and suddenly become a little Britain nation.
Chris Grayling, thanks very much indeed. Thanks.
I've been